to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Daren Wendell.
All right, guys. Welcome to podcast episode 50. Can't believe it. It's the 50th episode. We started last October, and so it's pretty excited. I'm excited about this. It's kind of a milestone for us. Welcome to the KFO podcast, Kayak Fishing Obsessed, brought to you by the Wendell Fishing YouTube channel, guys. If you love kayak fishing, if you're listening to this for the first time, coming in from Spotify or Apple, head over to @Wendell Fishing and over 900 videos on the subject of kayak fishing. And if you do happen to stop by, leave a message. I love responding to those. If you're not live and you're one of those out there listening in, maybe working on the kayak, out fishing, driving to and from work, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, I'd love to hear from you. Every week I get people who reach out to me, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's like, hey, I listened to you on the podcast and I just love connecting with you. So please, if that's you, I'd love to hear from you. Guys, we have a great pipeline of guests coming up. Tonight, we have Nate Goodwin from Indiana. We got Matt's fishing mission on the docket. We got mainstream fishing coming up as well. We got Bass Fishing HQ at the beginning of January, and I'm continuing to reach out. So if there's anybody, especially if you're live right now, if there's anybody you want to see on the show, and I have never had on the show, throw that in the comment section. And I'll see what I can do. Hey, all I can do is ask. I've asked a lot of people to be on the show. A lot of people get back to me. Some people don't. But hey, there might be some people out there I just don't know about. So this is a recorded and interactive podcast. So if you are live, interact, folks. We'd love to answer any questions that you have. But tonight we are going to get tactical. And I love these type of shows. I love where they go. We're going to take a deep dive on offshore kayak fishing. And we're going to talk about cranking. We're going to talk about some shallow water power fishing. And we are going to do this with Nate Goodwin. Welcome to the show, brother.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for scrambling back from class, making it just in time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. I totally forgot we had class tonight. And I was just like, oh, am I going to make it? But it's all good.
What classes you taking? This is like for
I'm in the IBW electricians union, and I'm a 4th year apprentice, so still got another year or so to go. But
nice. Well, it kind of makes sense now because I was watching your video today on your new canoe, and I was like, oh sweet, you have all your lights, your battery box is spot on, you have all these flicker lights, you ran all your wires, and I was like, all right.
Yep.
I'm thinking about making my own kind of battery setup for my 24 volt 60
sweet.
amp hour. And so we might have to talk afterwards. Anyway, it's not going to go down that rabbit hole. I did pick up an NK 180 from Newport on Black Friday. They got
sweet.
Like $700. And so I'll be powering my Bonafide with that. But
awesome.
I just don't want to buy a $1,000 battery when I can make one for 500. So
yeah. Yep. I hear that.
But enough about that. Tell me about you. I noticed I was looking at your YouTube, like you posted your first fishing video like 9 years ago. It doesn't seem like you spent a lot of time on YouTube. I found you through Instagram. So a lot of times when I ask people to be on the show, it's because the Instagram or something in YouTube keeps pitching me their videos. And that's how I found you. And then I found out that you're connected with Fishing with Gramps and Grubby and Indiana and your neighbor, because I'm in Ohio. So tell me your story of the start of fishing and why did you decide to start filming it?
Yeah, I always as a kid, I was like obsessed with fishing. My dad took me fishing when I was young, and then I got this it was like a 3.5 pounder on a popper, and it was right at the bank, and I just saw it come up and just engulf this popper. And so since then, I've just been obsessed. But yeah, that video, I think I was fishing on the bank, right, or something in that
Oh
old
yeah.
video.
Yeah.
And I think I was like using my phone or something. But I've been always wanting to make some YouTube stuff, because you catch a big one or you have a good tournament, and you're like, I wish I had that on, video. And so, what was it, last year? I think I finally, or whenever I got a YouTube, a GoPro. And just since then, I've been wearing a chesty and just, sometimes you get good content, sometimes you don't. Like, I give it to any like YouTuber that has consistent content. It is so hard. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make a video of like, if I go out and catch like 5 fish, like 5 small ones, like,
No,
I'm not going to put that up. It's boring.
when I first got started, that was one of the frustrations, because you're like, okay, just like that, I'll go out, you'll catch 5 fish. You're like, I can't use any of that. They're all dinks, and no one wants to
Yeah.
see me catch 5 dinks. But you can catch monsters every time you go out, and you're like, holy crap, is this thing even going to work? And then
Right.
you stick with it, you figure it out, and you dial it in, and you start getting B footage, and then you start utilizing it in that way. But man, it could be tough starting out for sure.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And I'm not like great at editing. I have a hard time, like, because it takes so long just to like cut clips and whatever. So
yeah,
I'm
you gotta
working at it.
you gotta love that part of it too.
Yeah.
And usually those who are anglers, like the whole, okay, I gotta fish, and you catch and you get rewarded. It's similar with YouTube. You create
Yeah.
content, people are interested in watching it, you get that endorphin rush. But until you dial it in, if you're first starting out, it's brutal. And then eventually you get 10 times faster, and it's like, boom, I could pop out a video from
Right.
shooting to finish in like 3 hours.
I'm hoping I'll get there.
You can get there. But I don't mind. It. It's kind of fun. Hickman,
Yeah.
JT is like, I hate editing, and 5% fishing, 95% editing. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
No, it really is. And like going back to like when I was like a kid, like I can still, it's wild how you can still remember like fish that you've caught, like your PB that you caught at Gunnersville. You'll remember that forever.
Yes.
And like, so that was the whole reason why I was like, I have to get a GoPro. And because when I was a kid, I fished tournaments like when I was like in high school, like friend tournaments and stuff out of John boats or
Yeah.
whatever. And then when I got out of high school, I fished bass boat tournaments out of, I was always typically a co-angler, or if I used one of my John boats.
Mm-hmm.
And I can still remember some fish, you know what I mean, that I wish I just had on video. But the kayak thing's been really cool. So I'm from Massachusetts,
Okay.
and we moved out here in 2019. And when I got here, I was fishing Indiana Bass Federation tournaments.
Okay.
And as a co-angler, and so kind of transitioned how to get to the kayak thing. So I bought a John boat, and I, decked it out and bow mount and the whole, like a little mini bass boat. And there's like no tournaments here that you can do with John boats, really.
Okay.
And I wanted to fish tournaments, and GRBY kind of popped up because a local guy, Aaron Mullender, he lives over here, and he fishes out of a kayak. And I knew some people back home in Massachusetts, like Derek Brundle, Ken Wood, those guys, they run Massachusetts kayak fishing. And so I'm like, I'm going to check out a kayak. And I got a new Canoe Pursuit, and got the bow mount, and it's amazing. It's so much more fun, like the tournaments.
Okay.
And
Now
you're getting into the tournament thing, right? With the kayaks?
I just got into the knucklehead, and I was hesitant, and I've shared this before. So I'm going to keep it short. I was hesitant on getting into tournament fishing because I enjoyed it as therapy.
Right.
And I am uber competitive, and I didn't want to ruin it for me. But how KBF is set up, month-long tournaments, I can get out there when I can. It just made it the next level for me. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. And a lot of it wasn't necessarily the tournament, although that was a blast. It was who I was connecting with along the way. Because it's like a 4-month tournament and then a weekend tournament. So it was like a big, long, entire year ordeal. But I liked it.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll piggyback on that. Like the guys I've met in the kayak scene are some of the best I've met. Like, everyone's like willing to help or give you tips or whatever. It's like competitive, but not so cutthroat.
Yeah.
Like the bass boat world is. And so
Yeah.
I've really loved that. That's been great.
Speaking of cutthroat in the bass boat world, right before I had you on, I literally like a half hour ago, I kept seeing all these things on my YouTube feed. Ben Milliken and Randy Blockett just like throwing down. I guess Bass After Dark podcast had them both on at the same time.
Oh,
They're
they
trash.
did?
Yeah,
Oh, I
they
haven't
did.
seen that.
Yeah, there's like 2 moderators and Ben and Randy and spotlighting Bass and blah blah blah, and Milliken's taking shot. Randy Milliken's taking shots at Faust. And I was just thinking, okay, everybody's a businessman, right? Randy's a businessman, Milliken's a businessman. Are are they in on this? Do they really don't like each other, or are they playing us all? And everybody, they're winning at the end of the day. Did you watch any? Did you see any of those?
So I've seen like Milliken's like videos on like the industry, and like in some of his videos he's talked about like making comments about Randy, and I'll watch Randy's videos sometimes just to giggle because like we talked about, I feel like the YouTube side of it for Randy has really brought him back in the limelight, and so like sponsor wise and stuff, it's been great for him because there's a group of people who are very vocal that are anti forward facing sonar.
Yeah.
And so like he gets all those clicks and views with those those titles to his videos and whatnot, and I feel like he feeds into that more to continue getting those clicks and views.
It was interesting, and this is interesting. I didn't realize this, but Tyler Duncan just chimed in. He said, yeah, they did a surprise debate. Ben and Randy didn't even know they were both going to be on at the same time. I gotta watch that now.
Yeah,
I was watching Money
that.
Bass, and he was doing a kind of highlights thing, and that's all I had time for. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching that as soon as we get off.
It's kind of brutal. Now, he was doing a highlight series of like, okay, Ben had the standalone video, and then Randy has a standalone video. Randy, I guess in the past hasn't historically responded, but it's been so like barraging that he finally responded. Oh, it's fascinating. Just fascinating.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff he says, I can understand what he's saying, but from everything that I've like, he's always talking about the resources and how it's gonna kill all the bass, basically.
Yeah.
But like BTL, Alex Rudd, Bass Fishing HQ, they've had biologists on, and none of them are worried about it. And like I think Bass Fishing HQ had like a study on like Texas parks and wildlife, and they're using forward-facing sonar to do conservation stuff.
Okay.
And they're already seeing like a percentage of fish once they get hit with the beam swim off.
Really?
Like they're already getting, and like if you talk to anyone with forward-facing sonar that's had it since the beginning, like in the beginning it was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Right.
But now, like, because they can hear that beam, like
right?
They're gonna adapt. That's why like it's getting harder and harder for that kind of fishing.
Interesting. I always wonder about that. My buddy is actually in the comments right now, Illuminathan. We go fishing a bunch around here. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna turn off my sonar right now." I was like, "Yeah, because we're on a highly pressured lake. They're getting it all the time." And so I'm not sure if I noticed the difference between on and off, but hey, if you're coming up short, you try everything. You try everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Illuminathan says they're going to milk this feud for views. Absolutely. Like I said, they are businessmen at the end of the day, and this is wild and crazy. But yeah, go check that out. And I'd love to do, I don't know, Gramps, I got to have you on sometime. We'll do like a reaction video to this because I just love like starting it and stopping it. I'm like, hey, it just be fascinating to me to have a little fun with it. I honestly, don't have a strong opinion about spotlighting bass because I can't
Yeah.
afford the technology.
Me too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not
This
there
year,
yet.
I bought a new whole rig this year.
Yeah.
And it was like either I buy a forward-facing sonar and a new battery for it, or I bought a new rig. So I ended up getting the new boat. It's expensive. Even if you go used, it's just like you got to get the mount, the unit, the battery,
Uh-huh.
like the transducer. It adds up quick.
Real quick. Well, let's start here, and then let's start with your kayak and start entering into some of our conversation around
Cool.
offshore bass fishing. So you had a Pursuit new canoe, and it sounds
Yep.
like you stayed with new canoe
Yes.
for your upgrade.
So I had the new canoe Pursuit for like a season and a half, and it was a good boat. There was a few things I wasn't. That boat is more like a river boat, and I had it set up more like like the bow mount and stuff. And so I wanted to stick with new canoe because I love their platform. The wide open deck, and it seemed like the unlimited everything that I wouldn't say I didn't like about the Pursuit. I just wish it was changed. They changed it in the unlimited, and so I was like, a local guy had one. He used it for a couple hours and then sold it. So I bought it, and
Heck yeah.
it's been I saved a bunch of money on it. But I love it, dude. It drains water. It handles rough water. The bottom. It's like fishing out of a boat. It's amazing.
Huh. You're a pretty sweet setup. I liked it when you went through it. If you're interested in his setup after the video, go and head over to his YouTube channel. It's your latest, I believe. Your latest video was your walkthrough, right?
No, I think it was like 2 videos back, I think.
Okay.
But it should pop up. It's pretty recent.
Southwest Indiana Outdoors just chimed in. He's like, hey, I watch his videos and love how he goes over his electronics, which makes sense considering what your background is. And I actually had someone early on. Let me head back up this. I started. Can we continue the 24-volt conversation a little bit? You know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'm putting together that video of how to create that battery box. I might bring in Nate on that video. We'll see. But
yeah,
stay tuned because I need someone. I got some questions that I can't answer. I'm not a wizard there. All right, so you got your kayak, bow mounted, and by the look at some of the comments from Fishing with Gramps or Hickman Outdoors, he's like, if Nate gets forward facing sonar, it's all over for us in Indiana, because he said you are a side imaging and down imaging wizard. So let's talk. Let's let that be our segue into offshore fishing, right? Because I believe the majority of kayak anglers, when I see them bouncing around a lake, they're all just covering any of the cover they see along the edge, all on the edge. Rarely do you see a kayaker offshore. And so walk us through why you feel like that's one of your core competencies, and then walk us through how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've even like in the early 2000s, I've always had like a fish finder because I always followed competitive fishing, since I was a kid.
Okay.
And that was always like, the early 2000s side imaging just came out, and I could never afford one, but I was always had 2D. And I remember like one of the first fish I caught because of 2D, and it just like blew my mind that like, oh, I just saw it on the screen and then I caught it.
Right.
And so since then, I just kind of been obsessed with that. And it wasn't really until like 2 years ago when I got like a good unit. And I just kind of spent the time like kind of figuring it out. And so like a lot of people, they don't have any confidence either in what they see on their unit or with fishing open water, because it's so much easier. Like if you're going on the bank and you see a laydown and you're like, fish live on laydowns.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've caught fish on laydowns. So then people just kind of, especially if the fishing's tough, they're just like, I'm going to do what I know.
Yep.
But the majority of like, if say I go to like a new lake and I want, say it's June, I know it's post-spawn, fish should be offshore. And I've never been to the lake. The first thing we were just going to look at the mapping. Before I even turn a fish finder on, I'm going to use Navionics on my phone and just point out like the obvious stuff, like, oh, here's a big point, or it gets shallow right here and it's, away from the bank or a hump or something. And then I just scan over them, and if there's fish there, I fish. If there's not, usually I won't. Until I figure out, like, okay, if fish are on brush piles, or they're on hard spots, or they're around bait in 10 foot. You know what I mean? And so it's just like the obvious stuff. So like 2 years ago when I finally got side imaging, I felt the same way. Like I'd drive around like, I don't see any fish, or I don't know where to like begin, because like it's a big lake, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's when I started like getting into mapping, and that's what changed the way I fish. Is
Okay. Keep talking.
like just like before you even go fishing, just look at the map and just the obvious stuff. Like, okay, I know I'm launching in this creek arm, and then there's 2 points, and there looks like there's like a ditch over here, and then I would just start driving over them. And you don't even need to have like my unit, for instance, it's a Lowrance TI2. It's
Okay.
a 12-inch. And that's like Lowrance is like mid-level. And it's honestly discontinued now. The Elite FS kind of took its place. But I think they came out in 2018. So you don't need like the biggest or greatest units to do it. Really you can do a lot of what I do with just 2D.
Right.
You could do it like a 4-inch screen or whatever. And it's just, you just got to like believe what you see. Like I could send you some screenshots if you want, maybe later you could post them or whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, just figuring out how to set up your unit and then just spending the time using it is a big hump for a lot of people. But once you get over it, it's just a lot easier to understand. And we can go into that if you want.
Yeah, and that's the learning curve, right? That's why,
Yeah.
I would imagine a lot of guys and girls, when they get out on the weekend, they're like, okay, I get out just maybe a Saturday morning when I'm lucky. And
Yeah.
so am I going to spend that time on the learning curve, how to fish
Right.
offshore, or am I just going to go back to what I'm comfortable doing, which is to go get that fish off the laydown?
Right.
And so it's I can see the issue here a lot, but it's one of those things where, although it's not a secret, there's less people out there searching, because I do surveys on my channel all the time, and these surveys get anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 responses.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done this one a couple times over the last couple of years, is how many kayak anglers run fish finders, electronics. You would think that number would be high. It is very low. I'm talking
Really?
like 30 to 40% say, yes, I run electronics. Most don't run electronics, which is partially probably the reason I see most of them just hugging around the outside of the lake, and very few in the middle doing this. So keep talking. Yeah. Let's go deeper in this.
Okay. So most guys are going to have like that 5 to 7-inch fish finder.
Yep.
And it's probably just 2D or down imaging. Let's just say you have that. So before like people get into, because a lot of people like they'll see like my screenshots or whatever, and like, oh, what are your settings?
Right.
The biggest thing, it's not settings, it's proper installation of your transducer. So like unobstructed level transducer, and then clean power. So like you're using a dedicated battery, or like the battery you're using doesn't have like a ton of different stuff on it, and like the power wires touching each other, because you can get interference from like multiple wires being on top of each other.
Okay.
And you get like a fuzzy screen. But default settings, clean power, and your transducer installed properly, you will be able to see fish on any fish finder that's come out in the last 5 years.
Okay. So pause for a second. Clean power. So I'm thinking about creating this battery, and I'm like, oh, sweet. It would be awesome if I also had USB ports, but you're just layering more interference on top of it. That's why you run a dedicated battery for your fish finder, I've noticed.
Yep. And you can have other stuff off of that battery, but you can't have like your motor running off of that battery, because it doesn't happen as much with lithiums because there isn't as much voltage drop. So like say you have a lead acid or an AGM or whatever, and you're running your motor off of it.
Yeah.
If you plug that into your fish finder, when you turn that motor on, most likely you're going to get enough voltage drop that your fish finder is going to blink, or it's going to get fuzzy, or it could shut off. So that's why a lot of people like bass boats, for instance, they'll run either dedicated batteries for their fish finders, or they use their cranking battery. Because the only other thing that's on the correct battery is like maybe live wells or just the motor when they turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah, it keeps from getting interference, and voltage drop is like the biggest thing. Because if your unit is not getting 12 plus volts, you can have like a fuzzy screen, or the transducer doesn't have enough power to actually beam out and see what it needs to see. So a lot of guys that have issues is just either their transducer's not level, or like it's kind of picking up the hull of their boat,
Right.
or they're having voltage drop issues.
Okay. So this is fascinating. I didn't know this is where we're going to go today, but that makes complete sense to me now. And knowing your background in electronics holds a lot of weight. And then you're also talking about almost like, for instance, I know you run a sidekick for your transducer off the side, and you're mentioning in your video the trim of that transducer, because when it starts hitting resistance from the water, it's eventually going to flatten out where you want it. But as it sits with that not in the water, you actually have it up at an angle.
Yeah. So if like it's sitting on the trailer and I have the arm down, it's kind of tilted down. So like when I'm moving forward, the resistance of the water brings it up to where it's level. It's the same thing if you look at the back of a bass boat, you'll notice that the transducers aren't actually level. It's because like once the guy's sitting in the boat and the motor's on, the nose picks up. And so then the transducer levels up. That's why so many people have issues with, their images, is because most of the time it's just their transducers aren't level with the water. It's not level with the boat, it's level with the boat in the water.
Okay.
Because like if your transducer is like kind of kicked up or kicked down, like as you're driving, it's not like shooting out the proper way. So like you can get, weird interference or weird like things on the screen, or everything kind of looks blurry, and so like on side images, for instance, like fish are tiny. They're like little grains of rice is what it looks like.
Okay.
So like then if you add in your transducer kind of messed up, it's going to be really hard to see.
Interesting. Now you got me thinking, because I've been looking at my side view, which is Garmin's way of saying side imaging.
Yep.
And I don't know whether or not, because I've been using it for the half of the season, and I'm not sure what I'm getting as a read. Looks good, because on my Bonafide P127, it has an in-hull mounting bracket underneath the kayak. And I guess I'm not sure if it's low enough or how low it needs to be. I just attached it to it and was like, okay, if they created the mount for it, I have a GT56, it must have the clearance.
That's a good one too, the 56.
Yeah, I mean, it's picking up great. I wouldn't know, because I don't have no basis to run it against.
Right.
Would you, if I were to show you like what it's pulling, would you be able to be like, oh yeah, you're getting your interference?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, we don't have to stay there, but these are the tips that are the juice, folks. A lot of people are like, oh, here goes the setting, change the contrast, change this. But these are some things that typically most videos you don't hear this information in. So I'm appreciative, Nate, that you're bringing this up. Now let's talk settings.
Okay. Yeah. So like 2D, I run in 200 hertz. If you have a Lowrance, you can have what's called a scope, and it's basically a vertical flasher. If you watched one of my latest videos, I did some crappie fishing.
Yeah.
And I love vertical fishing for crappie and bass too. But it's just I use 2D, and then on the side of the screen with the 2D, Lawrence calls it A scope. I can't remember the actual name of, but it's basically a vertical flasher, and
Okay.
it's real time. So like you can watch your jig go down, and like when you lift your jig up, you see it go up, and if a fish rises up, you see it. It's basically like old school forward facing sonar.
All right.
And a lot of guys, if people are ice fishermen, they've
Right.
known about it forever with Vexilars. That theirs are just circle instead of like a vertical up and down. And that kind of goes back to why I use a transducer arm. So like if you want to do any vertical fishing or anything, you need to drop your bait essentially right below the transducer. So on the unlimited, you can get under hull transducer mount.
Right.
And if I do that, I can't really vertical fish in the wintertime and watch my jig go down and watch fish come up and eat it. Because
So that
not
cone
like,
is really tight at the top, right? Is what you're saying. You're gonna miss it.
Right. And like if I have to get over the jig, I'd have to like drop my lure down and then kind of drive over it a little bit.
Got it.
But yeah, so I use 200 hertz. I use their standard color palette. Color line, 76%. It's nothing crazy really. I don't remember every setting right now, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to message me. But it really isn't like any like secret settings or anything.
Got it. You're just adjusting it so it's to your eyes. It looks good, and you can detect it. So that changes, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, and that's for 2D. Down image, I don't use a ton of. Every once in a while, I will in the summertime, just because like brush piles on 2D kind of just look like this big blob.
Okay.
And if there's fish in the brush pile and you drive right over me, you really can't tell.
Right.
Because it's just like one big blob. And 2D will kind of, down image will kind of separate the stuff. So like if you got the arms of like a tree or something, you'll see the dots of the fish. But it's mainly just mapping 2D and side image is what I use 99% of the time.
Nice. All right.
Side image, so settings, I use 800 hertz a lot because I fish 25 feet or less. If you go any deeper, you'll want to go to 455. But I'm only scanning out 80 foot on each side.
Okay.
And if I'm less than 15, I'm only scanning 60 feet. So like when you're shooting out, like you're on side image, the higher frequency, the more detail, but the weaker it can shoot out.
Got it.
Like, so if I'm in 10 feet, I think the rule is like you don't want to be more than 5 times your depth or whatever. I just keep it no more than 80 and usually 60 feet if I'm in 15 foot or less.
So explain hertz really fast.
It's
why you're.
So the 455 hertz, it's a frequency that like the sonar ping goes out, and the lower the hertz, the more power it has, but the less detail. So like if I wanted to, like, say I'm fishing 20 feet of water and I want to drive over a big point and I want to look 100 foot out, I would put it on 455 so I can look further out. But if I want, like, say I find like a group of fish or a brush pile, I could turn around and put 800 on and look shorter, but I could see more detail.
Okay. Now, will that automatically change for you? You literally have to go in and start changing that in real time.
You'd have to change it on your settings, but it's just, clicking from one to the other.
Yeah.
You might have to change your like sensitivity or maybe like your color palette, because 455 is like, because it's stronger, it seems to be kind of washed out on my unit, like where it's like real bright. So I'll have to like turn it down a little bit. But really, for most lakes, I haven't touched my settings in a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll maybe change a color or something, depending on if it's like the sun's really beaming on my unit or something. It's hard to see the screen sometimes. But yeah, once you get it like pretty well dialed in, like you can just leave it.
All right. This is great. I didn't realize we were going to go electronics and stay here for so long, but you brought the heat. So thank you for that. I'm going to switch gears. Can you believe we're already 36 minutes in? We got some
Really?
comments over here. I thought it's pretty awesome. Randy Gissendanner said, I'm really not into podcasts, but y'all are great information. Well, thanks, Randy.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, Ray, my bad. Appreciate that. All right, so let's switch gears again on everybody here. Talked about electronics. We're scanning where we got the right frequency. We find them. Now let's get a little tactical. What are your top 5 lures? What are you throwing if you see a brush pile? What are you throwing if you're on this underwater point? You got this road bed, this creek bed. Does it change in your mind for what you're picking up and throwing out there? What are your top 5?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we dive too far into it, I have to say one more thing.
All right.
Because a lot of guys, they'll say that their side image is fuzzy. Side imaging, you have to be moving. You have to be driving in straight lines at 2 to 4 miles per hour for it to look good. If you're sitting still, your screen's going to get all fuzzy and you won't be able to see stuff.
All right. So this is Big Daddy USA. I don't know if you saw this. He said the hard part for me is that at 1 mile per hour and seeing down or side imaging flow, is that now on the left or right side? Not quite sure what he meant by that. Do you understand what he meant by that?
Maybe like when he's driving, he doesn't know if it's on his what's on the left side of the screen is on the left of you, and what's on the right side is the right of you.
Unless you installed your.
Oh, I think he means like when you drive, when you see something on a screen, is it like to the right of you or is it behind you?
Okay.
Because 2D and down image and side image, you're actually seeing history. So like when you see it come up on your screen, you've already driven by it.
Right. It's over your shoulder now.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Before we hop into lures, JT wants to know when you decided to go from mountain man to male model. I saw some of your past videos. You have long hair, the beard, and then you hop on right now. I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I've never grown my hair out that long, and it was cool, but I couldn't take it no more. It was so like hot and it's brutal. Yeah, usually I have a big beard, but when I cut the hair, I cut the beard too.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. That's funny. Thanks, JT, for that one. Appreciate the laugh.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
All right, hit us. You found what you found. Tell us what you're bringing out when, and geek out a bit. Like, okay, I'm bringing out this color, and summer's a great time for offshore, right? So that's when they're out there. And
that's your prime time.
Yep. Tell me what you're doing.
All right. So say I find a brush pile in 15 feet of water, and I drive over it, and I don't see a lot of fish, but say it looks like kind of fishy, or maybe I think that's a fish. You know what I mean? Like, especially guys that are new to this. So say you find a brush pile. So a lot of guys are confident in a jig, right? You could fish anything offshore with a jig. So if you're already confident with that up shallow, pick up the jig. You can't go wrong. This right here it's a 3/4 ounce, and the guy's on Spotify or whatever. It's just a big brush jig, 3/4 ounce. This is a Modest Baits Craw Mattis in the back, just a big kicking craw. You want something big like that. In the summertime, a lot of bluegill and crappie and stuff, all those panfish, they get out there, as does the shad. Mm-hmm. But that big flapping jig, it just represents a craw or those big bluegill. And you want, like, for bottom baits, you want something, I personally like something heavier, so I can feel the bottom. That brush pile, you can feel it, you can work through it. Or say you fish a point and that heavy bait, like a jig or like a half ounce Texas rig, something that's heavy that you can feel bottom. You can tell when, like, say that there's a part of the point that's rocky, or it's soft bottom, and then all of a sudden you kind of feel like it's like hitting something hard.
Mm.
Those are your key spots.
Money spots. Yep.
That is like, it's the size of, two kayaks put together, and they're all going to hang out in that one spot. At one of my YouTube videos, I think it's my longest one, it's like 25 minutes. But I think it was titled like how I use side scan to catch bass or something. And in that video, I caught the majority of my fish off a spot that seriously looked no more than like a 5x5 square. And if I casted, outside of that, wouldn't get bit. If I hit that one spot, it was like a rough spot. And every time I dragged into that rough spot, I would get bit. And that's like, so like a lot of guys are like, oh, I thought I saw some fish, but like I never get bit. You have to find that little tiny key spot. It's almost like bed fishing, really. Like you find that one key spot, and then all of a sudden you start getting bit. So the jig or a big Texas rig, like a Texas rig worm, like a 10-inch worm, that's a popular one, or a shaky head.
Yeah.
That's another good one. Big shaky head. I'll throw this big Samadas salmon shot worm. It's a 5-inch worm on an eco rig, or big shaky head, like a 1/2 ounce Magnum shaky head.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some really good, easy, access kind of baits. Stuff they've already used. Another one, do you fish a drop shot at all?
I have. I've liked it. I typically, if I'm going to fish a drop shot, I typically will just do a Nico to make it easy. But
Yeah.
I know they're different and there's some nuances there. But regardless, I usually don't carry it.
The drop shot, I like a drop shot a lot. Offshore, like sticking with the bottom baits. And I'll Texas rig. This is a robo worm, margarita mutilator. It's a real popular color. That's the 4-inch. You can Texas rig that, and I like baits. Like we're in kayaks, so we can't. As much as I would love to bring 25 rods, I can't. So I love lures where, I fish offshore for a while and it's not working out, or I'm driving by and I see that big laydown.
Yeah.
You can throw these baits on that stuff. So you're not like, I like the baits you can throw both. You know what I mean? But that drop shot is a really good one too. Texas rig for brush piles with I throw a 1/4 ounce a lot, or a 3/16.
Okay.
For what, the heavier jig and Texas rig comes through brush piles really good, but not heavier drop shots. So stay on the lightest size you can. I know sometimes 1/4 is a little light with the wind. You might have to go up to 3/8 or 5/16 or whatever, but they don't come through brush very good.
Is there any particular like cylinders or round ones that you prefer that you feel like could go through a little bit better?
Yeah, lately it's been the teardrop. This year it's been the teardrop.
Okay.
I haven't lost a lot of them. Last year I was kind of on the cylinder for a while, and then I like probably lost 15 of them. So I had to change it up.
You fish them a lot then.
Yeah. And like, it's tough sometimes because you do lose a lot of stuff fishing brush piles. And my favorite lake I like to fish is full of brush piles. So you get better at it over time, but sometimes you can't get it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I have no fear throwing directly in a big brush pile, but I'd say one brush pile every time I go fishing, I lose something in it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
If you're not getting caught up, I say you're typically not fishing in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So if you come home every time, you're not losing lures and you're not catching fish, well, that might be a clue. You're not throwing where they're hiding a lot of the times. Question for you. You mentioned that a lot of times you're offshore, and you say they might be, I mean, sometimes they're just sitting. Well, first, the beauty of offshore fishing is that when there's usually one, there's multiple.
Yes,
right. A lot of times
100%.
when you're fishing shallow, you'll catch one and you're not going to find a big bunch of large bass in one area. That I found. When you're fishing offshore, they're usually grouped up and they school a lot more. So when you're on the honey hole, a lot of times you pick up 2 or 3 in one spot, which is a whole heck of a lot of fun. So my question is, now you have spot lock, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to stay in one place, but the majority of people don't have spot lock. I have a pedal drive. I'm getting thrown around the wind. Do you throw a buoy out when you find that honey hole that's maybe 5x5?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this. So all my motors I've had, like on the Pursuit, I didn't have spot lock.
Mhm.
All the John boats I've ever had, this is the first motor I've ever had with spot lock. So if you put your nose into the wind and you find a speed on your motor that keeps you from going forward and keeps you from going back. Now you are gonna, like, the wind blows and then it kind of stops and then it blows again. So like if you ever watch any of the videos in the Pursuit, the red boat,
Yep.
you'll notice I'm never two hands on the rod and reel. It's always like click, 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 click. And like you
Okay.
just get good with it. And same with the like if I had a foot controlled, it's a lot easier. You can just keep your foot on the motor the whole time. But yeah, this is the first spot lock motor I've ever had. And I used to use buoys.
Yeah.
I would, back then it was just 2D. So I'd drive straight over something. I'd see it on 2D and I'd throw it right off real
Yep.
quick. And it works. It still works. Like I used them up until like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I still use them. Just because I don't have a motor on. I roll by and it's like, oh, it's 20. I see it on my side scan 20 feet out. And as soon as it throws up, I throw out there and then I turn around and find it and dial it in. That's super helpful.
It's the biggest thing. So like talking about seeing something and then fishing it, and they're expensive, but a heading sensor. So like Lowrance, it's called a 0.1, and Garmin, I think it's like a active captain or something, or I can't remember the name of it, but it's the little GPS pucks. Have you seen those?
I haven't. Keep talking.
Okay, so it's just a external antenna, and what it does is it hooks up to your unit and it puts a line on your mapping and it shows the direction of your boat at all times. So like if you ever notice on your mapping, if you're sitting still, the map might spin, or like you're not 100% sure the orientation of like where you're facing on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So with the heading sensor, like when I drive over a brush pile and I see a group of fish, or I find a brush pile and I drop a waypoint, it's just like the buoy. So like I'll drop a waypoint on the map, I turn around and I get lined up with that heading sensor and I can hit that waypoint every cast.
Okay.
So I know exactly where I'm facing, how far away it is. They're worth the $300.
Oh, I was going to ask you. You said they're expensive. I was like, all right, what's expensive? Well, $300.
It's so hard. Yeah, it's so hard to find. Like, but when you drop a waypoint, it's so hard to like find it again.
Right.
Like, have you ever dropped a waypoint and then drove over it again and not seen what you saw?
About 1,000 times. Yes.
Yes, and it's not that it's not there. It's just you might be 10 foot to the left or 15 feet to the right. You're just not right over, because the cone of like a 2D or down imaging is pretty small, because we're fishing most of the time in 20 foot or less.
Right.
So like that cone angle is you're not seeing a huge area. Now side image, obviously you can see a bigger area, but that heading sensor is money. Like if you're thinking about getting forward face sonar, get heading sensor.
If you're dropping that cash, just completely go into debt. Just don't go in a little bit into debt. Just go all
forward facing sonar, you can obviously like find something and keep looking at it and you'll find it again. But for someone that doesn't have forward facing sonar, definitely get a heading sensor. I wouldn't be able to fish the way I do offshore without it. There's no way.
Okay. So you mentioned your Texas rig, your drop shot, your shaky head, your football jig. Do you do the flutter spoon at all? Do you do a crank in those scenarios?
Yep. So let's get into moving baits. Flutter spoon, I've caught some fish on it on like a 5-inch. I haven't thrown like the Magnum. You really need a dedicated rod and setup for that.
Right.
And it just seems like I've thrown, I think I bought one 7-inch and I lost it immediately. So it's like a commitment.
Ouch.
If you're gonna, because it was like $15.
Yeah, it was.
And it's a commitment if you're going to fish brush piles, and that's what I fish a lot. And this winter, I'm gonna buy some more because I found a lot of hard spots this year that I'd like to fish a flutter spoon on it. It just seems to catch huge fish, and I know not a lot of people throw it around here.
Yep.
So I'm always kind of looking for that different thing.
Speaking of Milliken, I mean, he catches a lot of his donkeys on spoons.
Yeah.
And Austin said, "Dang it, Nate, the old lady isn't going to be happy if he's spending another $300."
It's worth it.
Facts,
I'm telling
Austin.
you.
Facts.
That's
Austin. And here's JT over here. Do it, Austin. Do it. I love it. Hey, we're supportive here. We're supportive of each other.
Yeah,
spend away.
You'll be happy. I promise you. All right, so we've gone over the bottom baits. Cranking. That's something I love to do, especially offshore, whether it's brush piles or points. And when I say offshore, real quick, that could be 3 feet of water. Just something that's off the bank. But cranking's a big deal for sure. Like that's the first bait I'm picking up every time.
Okay.
Because if you find a group of active fish, they're going to bite immediately. Like if I say I drive over a point and I see a bunch of fish and I drop a waypoint, turn around, I start fishing. I throw the crankbait, I throw a big, swim bait, I throw the jig, and I don't get bit, I'm gone. But I'm not spending more than 5 minutes on it.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just a timing deal. It seems to be like, so the lake that I fish a lot, it's very popular. It's a power plant lake. I've never not seen more than there's always 30 plus boats on this lake. Sometimes 100 boats.
Chill out.
And it's only 2,000 acres. It's tiny. And so it's a very popular offshore lake, but you can see a guy on a brush pile that you know of, and you're fishing kind of near him and you never see him catch a fish. You roll up and you catch him.
Yeah.
Or you're fishing a brush pile and you didn't catch any, you leave, and then a guy pulls up and he catches it. It's just like a timing deal.
Right.
I feel like it's just like when the bait comes in at the right time, or one, I don't know if you've watched any forward facing sonar videos where one will follow it, the bait, and then a second one will come up and suddenly it's competitive. I don't know if what triggers them, but it's just a timing deal. So yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on them, but a crankbait is definitely one of my favorites for sure.
But really quick before we hop into the crankbait, isn't that crazy how that works? I could literally, you're fishing with your buddies, you're fishing the same thing, you're fishing the same color. One person throws it, nothing. Second comes up and just absolutely is killing it. And it has to be a nuance there of something.
I feel like no one fishes, say you get 10 guys fish a jig, none of them fish it the
same way. Nope.
And majority of them are going to have a different trailer or a different weight. There's, some days it doesn't matter. You could throw a all pink jig with the 10-inch worm on the back of it. They're going to eat it.
Yeah.
But other days, I'm not a big color guy, but, some days that certain weight or that certain kicking motion or not kicking motion plays a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't spend a lot of time on offshore fish. I'll just keep going, but I'll come back. If I find a group of fish that doesn't bite, I'll be back in an hour.
Okay.
And sometimes, the second or third time, sometimes I'll come back 5 times. And sometimes they still don't bite. But
we saw you an hour ago. It's not happening now.
Yeah. It's sometimes it can be frustrating. I've left some lakes upset about, because I found a big wad of them or whatever, and I just can't get them to bite. But so cranking. I grabbed a couple, real common plugs that are easily accessible. Everyone likes the Japanese stuff or the high-end stuff, but a lot of my crankbaits that I throw a lot are they're cheap,
right?
Because I'm throwing them in brush and sometimes
You're
they don't come back. Yes. But Strike King 5XD. This is the powder blue back. If anyone knows Keith Combs, the Bass Elite guy, he made that color real popular. But 5XD, what's that?
I would never throw a color like that. Ever.
Oh, really?
I would never
Yeah.
throw a neon, anything non-natural. I just don't do it.
So this is a good. So I don't know how true it is. I know that it's chartreuse, and I know that's like real bright white, and like once it goes in the water, that turns real white. But allegedly, when the fish get first off of the bank and get offshore, allegedly that powder blue is the deal. I don't know. That's what Keith Combs says, so I
Hey.
throw it.
I know people catch fish on them.
Yeah.
I have my natural colors that I love during certain times of the year. But hey,
And I'll throw the natural color. The only time, so like I said earlier, like I'm not a big color guy. So like this would be a color I would throw if the water's a little dirty.
yep.
It's because of the chartreuse will kind of pop, and like this color. This is a Spro, Little John DD. I really like this color. I throw this in the summertime a lot. It's just white with the scales.
I throw the Spro Little John 50. Is that right?
Yep.
Flat
Yeah, that's a
sided.
good one.
I
Yeah.
can't catch anything but catfish on that thing. I've got more catfish than bass on the Spro Little John 50.
The cat daddy.
It is. For some reason, they
funny.
hit it. And I think that moment you think you have your personal best for about 3 seconds, and you realize,
Yes.
okay, that thing's just making my line do this. I was like,
Yeah, doing circles.
It's still fun. It's just not my personal best today.
No, yeah, too slimy for me. But yeah, a lot of my colors are pretty, like 99% of my crankbait colors in the summer are going to be shad.
Yep.
And just water clarity kind of dictates like what like actual color. I love foiled baits, like
I saw that.
Yeah, this is not really a foiled one, but like the chrome sides. I'll throw that a lot. But yeah, I'll go through some of these favorite ones. So like we talked about Spro Little John DD. That's a like an 18 to 20 foot diver, but I'll throw it in 15 foot. Like even so with a crankbait, I want it to touch bottom.
Yep.
You're never really going to get bites if it's not, deflecting or, digging on the bottom. So even like a bigger plug like this, I'll throw it in shallower water.
Got it. So your reel is high gear.
No, cranking reels, I like 6.5 to 1.
How do you get it down fast enough by the time it gets to it's game over and you haven't touched the bottom?
Long casts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens with the fast ones is a lot like that's going to wear you out because the gears are bigger. So it takes more work for you to reel in something with more resistance. That's why a lot of guys like won't use like the crazy 9 to 1s or 10 to 1s for like punching or like real flipping, like where you're just doing short pitches. Because when you try to reel a fish out of like a wad of grass or something, it's harder to actually spin the reel handle.
Right.
But yeah, 6.5 to 1. 12. All my crankbaits are 12-pound test. The only time I like my lipless rod that's got 15. The real big plugs, I really haven't messed with like the 8XDs or the 10XDs, like those real magnum plugs. But here's another one I like a lot. A lot of people throw DT10.
Okay.
This one gets bites. Like if I was gonna fish, 10 foot or under and offshore, maybe fishing creek channels or something where it meets the bank and it's that 10 to 12 foot DT10. I don't know what it is. It's almost like a flat side. It doesn't have like a real wide wobble. It's more of a swim, and it doesn't have really any rattles. So it's kind of like a finesse style crankbait. That's a really good one. Berkeley Dredger. This is a 17.5 foot. That's a good crankbait too. It's probably hard to see, but if you notice, all these crankbaits I have Mustad triple grips. Every single.
So you change out the hooks, or do they come standard?
No, I change all of them up. There's very few baits I'll keep stock hooks on. So when I first got into cranking out, I wasn't throwing the right rod, but I was using like the stock hooks, like those old bronze ones. Remember those?
Oh yeah, and they rust after one time.
Yeah, and I would hook a lot of fish because I noticed when I was fishing, like, tournaments out of the back of guys' boats, not a lot of people threw a crankbait. And I'm like, why isn't anyone throwing crankbait? KVD like wins 4 classics on, a crankbait. And so I started to get into it, but I would lose a ton of fish.
Mm.
You'd hook them, they jump once, and they come off. So KVD came out with those mustad triple grips. So I'm like, oh, I'll buy them. They're kind of expensive. I'll try them. And I immediately was landing way more fish, but I was still losing some because I wasn't doing the right rod.
Right.
But I just stuck with them. And I just don't lose fish, like hardly ever on a crankbait. Like I can think of one fish this year that I lost that mattered whatsoever. It was massive, but it broke me off. But yeah, so I put them on everything basically now, from little ones to big ones.
How much do those run?
I think the 11 pack is like $8 or $9.
That's not bad.
No, and they last. That's another thing. So I've tried a bunch of different other hooks over the years, and they'll be like super sticky sharp, but the points roll over really quick. So like if you're fishing like riprap or something like that, where you catch 10, 12 fish, and then all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, the points rolled over. So I get away with a lot of ones. There's a lot of good hooks out there, don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, maybe it's the way I fight the fish or whatever, I just believe in the mustads, and they're not crazy expensive and they last.
Yeah. I mean, if it's noticeable, and you're saying it is, and you tournament fish a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is that one fish that got away worth it?
Right. Yeah.
The one you remember in the past that you lose sleep over and you think about it all the time.
Yep.
How much would you have paid to land that?
Exactly.
And we already have all these sunk costs in kayaks, and so what's the extra? It's funny when we get down to the lures, we're like, oh, we want to save an extra couple dollars on hooks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth it at that point.
No, nope. And that's what, like, fish and brush or even offshore stuff, like, you're gonna get hung up sometimes. Definitely buy lure knockers; they'll save you. But yeah, like you said, like I would rather spend an extra few dollars to catch 5 more small ones or 1 big one or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just worth it. And going back to cranking, I notice a lot of guys when they're throwing a crankbait, it's just a cast and
steady retrieve. Right. You got to create your own deflection.
Yes. I don't do a lot of rod popping with deep plugs, but it's real fast stop, or steady stop. Like I'm always doing like a stop and go, or crank real fast for a second or two and then stop. Because that plug is going. When you start pulling it even harder or reeling harder, it gets real crazy wide, and then it's and then you stop and it sits there, and then you steady again. It's just like creating that reaction bite.
1,000%. I don't personally love crankbait fishing, so I love talking with someone who does. I typically don't do it. I do it in the spring, and I tie on the KVD 2. I think it's 2.5 is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's like they're black and red. And around here,
okay, yeah.
With a slow retrieve at like right after ice off, that thing absolutely slays consistently.
Well, that thing is like low key like a chatterbait.
Yeah.
Because it's got that real
wild tail slap back and forth.
I thought I brought one, but I got into crankbait fishing because of wiggle warts, and they have a similar action, not so much as the 2.5, but that kind of hard thumping, like erratic action, and they're super good on rock, like rip wrap and stuff. But wigglewort, definitely want to try that one. That one's really fun.
All right.
But I love it because like crankbait fishing, like when you get a big one and you're cranking along, they just load up on like that. It's, I don't know, maybe it's the flimsier rod I really like. There's just something about it when they smoke a crankbait. It's a lot of fun.
For you and me, season's coming to an end unless you're crappie fishing and you were catching some bass recently, like 10 days ago or 20 days ago. I can always tell by the background. Like no leaves on the tree. All right, bro's fishing recently.
Yep.
I'm still editing. I still got like a terabyte of video I'm editing from this past summer and I'm catching up on.
Wow.
But just talking about that, the bass just slamming in it just brings all the feels back. You're like, I can't wait to freaking spring. Why don't I live in Texas or somewhere down south?
Well,
just Tennessee or south.
I don't know how far away you live from Newton, Illinois, but I go over there a lot. The water's always 50 degrees or more.
That's that power plant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Gramps keeps talking to me about it. I'm about 4 hours from Indy, so it's a little bit away.
Yeah,
I probably
so
have a power plant around here. I just need to discover, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, dude, they're addicting. Like I live an hour and 25 minutes away from this lake, and I go like at least every other weekend. It's just like the water stays warm, and which is cool, but it's just full of fish, like, and big ones. Like I'm all about the bite. You know what I mean? Like I love fighting them and stuff, but it's the bite that gets me. You know, whether it's on a jig and they thump the jig, or a top water and they smoke it, or something. You know, like when you're throwing a chatterbait and all of a sudden it's just there and mushy and you just lean into it. Like I'm all about the bite. So I love going places that have a lot of fish, and they don't even have to be the biggest fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love lakes like that are just full of fish. It's addicting.
JT said it's 2.5 hours for him, but he'll make the drive. I mean, all three of us need to get together and just meet up and do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I'm down.
Because it doesn't matter. Everything else is frozen. That one's not because it's a power plant.
Right. Yep.
I love it.
I'll throw this out there. This week, last year, I caught 5 for 25 pounds.
Chill out.
Like 2 hours.
Chill out.
Throwing the A-rig. I really wish I had my GoPro.
Of course. But when you don't take your GoPro, you know you're going to absolutely slay that day. So it's kind of this like catch-22.
Yep.
Every time I forget my camera, something ludicrous happens.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be able to, like a bald eagle will come down and grab your fish. Something you're like, no one will ever believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like how I threw my phone in the water last week.
I saw that. My favorite video of yours was I just crashed into a boat.
Oh, dude, that was awful. I was so happy I had the GoPro on because I was like, what's happening? Yeah, my remote got wet and it wasn't like working. And then finally I got it to work, but it was on full throttle and it wouldn't turn off.
It was, if you guys watch the video, he's just him sitting in his kayak and there's a boat probably 15, 20 feet away. And just all of a sudden it's like crash. And then a few choice words.
There was I bet there was probably 4 other tournament guys fishing around me. And as soon as I slammed into the boat, I unplugged my motor and I looked around like thinking they would have heard it or saw it. They didn't even, it was like I wasn't even there. I'm like, oh, no one saw this either. I'm like, oh, I had my GoPro going.
There we go. I love it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Well, Nate, we're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Freaking awesome. Thank you for bringing your thoughts, the juice when it comes to electronics. I need to do a show like specifically about electronics because I feel like a lot of people either they don't carry them, which I know a lot don't. And it's a really great way to get a lot of yardage in fishing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of times we focus on the nuances and tweaks and add these hooks to these lures, and that gives you a little bit of yardage. But man, if you really want to step up your game and get a lot, electronics is a way to do that, in my opinion.
Yes, 100%.
And you don't have to go forward-facing sonar to get there. Like you said, you can spend a little and get a lot out of your fishing game.
Yeah.
And so, I got to bring you back. I want to talk to you more about kind of battery boxes and stuff and getting ready. I'm geeking out on that myself. But thank you for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And guys, next week, I'm not having a show because I got to travel for work out to Arizona. But we'll be back the following week. Man, we're getting close to Christmas, so this is going to be a good time. Nate, appreciate you. Hey, guys, if you've not yet followed him, head over to Nate Goodwin Fishing. Give him a sub. He's kicking out videos from time to time. And, man, I'll see you in a tournament somewhere. I'll have to get fishing down over there in Indiana. Get a bunch of guys together. It'd be fun.
Sounds good. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. I'll see you. Thanks, everyone.
See you. Thanks, bud.